Greetings from Kansas City. This is Renee Benson at AV Renee KC, and you are listening to and watching the AV Life.
Hey, this is Nancy Blanchard at Nancy Blanchard on both Twitter and LinkedIn, and you are listening to and watching the AV Life.
And I'm your host, Tim Van Wert from Rutgers University, from HETMA, from higheredav.com, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life. All right, so we're back, and we did a special 2 for Tuesday last week. We rolled out 2 fun episodes. I say fun for the one, I say fun for the other because it's we talked about summer fun, and we had Tammy and Mike and Aaron and Will and Joe Way dropped in and he got guest status because he missed the introduction. He missed the introduction. So I'm like, you can't be a crew member. You've lost that. So, so there was that. And then before that, we had done an episode, and Nancy Renee, this is our continuation of our Infocom conversation. And women in AV and developing, and Tammy had a great post in regard to Rosie Riveters and getting them all included as well. And Mr. James King has jumped in on us as we're here. He is representing his soccer outfit out in Las Vegas. I see there, James.
Yep, I am. Sorry, guys, for being late. Just jumping around.
No problem. We just got started. We just did introductions, and we, as it seems to be here on the AV Life, we just keep free flowing with everything as it goes along. So, yeah. And since I introduced you in, you're good. So don't worry.
All right.
But James, it's good you're here.
I see James has regrown a little bit of growth there on the face.
Oh yeah.
I liked it when you were nice and clean.
Oh no, gotta have the beard.
Yeah, no, he's got the Jack Black beard going. Or not Jack. No, Jack Black, right? The comedian actor, right? Is it?
I don't think he has a beard, does he?
Now he does.
He does.
Or
now,
he did. Yeah.
Oh.
That was a COVID. It was a COVID thing. He and it's just kind of stayed. It's this big bushy beard. So yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Renee.
No,
yeah.
I'm with James. I'm with you. You got to keep the beard. Yeah, it's
as long as your wife likes it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he prefers this. He hated the clean shave.
Oh.
so does mine.
You were
so does mine.
Faced.
He hated it.
That was the same thing with my wife. She's like, you need to keep the goatee like that. There's no losing that, because otherwise, yeah, you do look too much like a baby. I act like a kid enough. I don't need to look like one too. So
I guess it's just a preference, because I like my son. He's got scruffy, and I feel like he looks so much older. And he's so young. He's 25 years old. I'm like, you look. But at 25-year-old guy thinks, oh, that's nice. It's cool to look older, right? I'm like, you're gonna regret that when you're older, and you wish you looked 20.
Nah, I don't regret it yet.
Well, you're
I don't either.
sometimes
I had many people always think I'm older than I was. I still remember when I first went to college, I was hanging out with a bunch of students, and we got talking, and they're like, oh, what department do you work for? I'm like, I don't. I'm a student. They're like, oh, you look so much older. They saw I was in like my 40s.
Well, there you go. So it's good that you jumped in here, James. We're actually going to talk about your article on higheredav.com. It's a bold opportunity for somebody, and I say it's a bold opportunity because it is the opportunity. It's something we should do, but to do it is a very big and bold step, because I feel a lot of us are plugged in so much. So James, just for, we still want people to go to higheredav.com to go find your article, but give them a quick rundown about what the concept was.
So the concept is basically a 24 hours of a disconnect from screen. I am a habit of being in front of screens for most of the time during the day. And yes, even as my article says, I am Mr. IT, and I'm telling you to take a break from technology because mentally it's going to refresh you. Mainly, you guys think about it is when we're in front of our devices, we're always connected. But unfortunately, we're only connected to what people want us to see. So it may be the good things or it may be the really, really bad things, but it's overwhelming. And you don't see everyone's full pictures, and you're always comparing yourself to the Joneses, but you don't know their full story. And that's why I'm challenging people to take 24 hours of disconnect and reconnect with the outside, reconnect with family, your friends in person. And trust me, you're going to find a better outlet in life.
So yeah, I mean, so I will say like that is, and I'm assuming you mean all technology. So like, because we were talking about it before we started recording, and it was like, well, I could just sit and watch Netflix for 24 hours, but I think that's kind of going against the spirit of the challenge.
True
So
disconnect.
yeah, something like that. Yes and no, because yes, you are still in front of a screen if you're doing it by yourself. Now, if say we sat down as a family and watch a movie, yes, we're in front of the screen, but now I'm actually having quality time with my family, or
That's
same
yeah.
with you guys. So that's really what I'm challenging people to do is get there and get that quality. I was the type of person where I spent 8+ hours a day at work, came home and spent another 8+ hours in front of the screen, either on Twitter or Facebook or
Yeah.
whatever. And I never really connected with my family. And then since I got out here in Las Vegas and being 2 months away from my family, I really have taken a new approach at it.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
actually spent more time.
Can we not agree that Twitter is crack? Because that's where my time is
All
spent.
social media is crack. Have you guys
Yeah.
seen Social Dilemma documentary?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
No, not yet.
We should challenge everybody to that. I think we talked about this when it came out, like 2 years ago or whenever it came out.
Mhm.
It's really, especially anybody who has kids, needs to really to show how the algorithms make you engage. It's almost freaky.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. They are crack, basically what it is. It's a drug. Just like like we think about drugs as, these illegal, even some legal ones, marijuana now being legal in most states. But even food is addiction. And actually there's a saying that the most sinister love there is a love of food. And I think technology is the same thing. Is we all are so connected that you don't see what's going on around you.
So, one of the shows that I have on my, speaking of crack, DVR, I'm addicted to TV, but is Intervention. It's a true program where they kind of follow people that are addicted. They think they're speaking about a documentary about using fentanyl or using meth or whatever, and really it's an intervention. The advertisements for the commercials during that program is for social media intervention. So that's going to be a new part of the show that comes out, just people who are addicted to their phones.
Have you guys seen I think it's on Apple TV called, what is it? Shoot, I can't think of the name, but it's a show of like this, basically disconnecting. So basically the premise of the show is you opt into this program and they put a chip in your brain. So when you enter your work area, you have no clue about your personal life. And second, you leave your work area, you have no clue about your work life. You only remember your personal life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Of course, it's a TV show, so it has its conflict and all that stuff. But it's
I know, but it's
definitely
still,
check it out on HBO or Apple TV Plus. I'm trying to think of the name. I can't think of the name of it.
well, you can DM us later on our
Yeah.
social media Slack platform.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I will say, yeah, I think that's, and the fact that they're all the social medias are accessible by your cell phone. That's the other thing. It's with you all the time. So it's
Yes.
like, okay, I'm sitting waiting in line at the supermarket. Oh, let's see what's going on Twitter or, Slack or, it's so accessible. So it's
Yeah.
it's an engineered drug, and that makes it even more so.
It
and
is.
also what it is I like this meme going out there, and this is a two-part, but the first part is the meme that's going out there. It goes, what's the hardest thing to explain if you ran into someone from the far past, and saying, going, well, I have this device in my pocket that can access the full information of the world. I use it to watch cat videos. But then to add to that, I had this conversation a couple of years ago with somebody, and you guys think about, like, say, like, take us at four. Say we were at dinner, hanging out, talking, and we came on to a topic and we didn't know the right answer.
Oh,
One of
yeah.
us most likely would go back, look it up, do the research on it, came back and be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Now we pull out our phone and we find the first information and say, oh, that's
Mhm.
it. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And it may not be. It
Yeah.
may not be the truth.
But we're digging for that answer, for that instant gratification.
Right.
answer Right
Yep.
there while the conversation is still happening, because I find myself doing the same. Like, hold on. Oh yeah, 1972, or whatever the
Yeah.
answer is. Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm kind of OCD, so I can't stand having notifications. So the
Yes.
little red bubbles, I can't stand it. So if I'm standing in line at the grocery store and in line at the car wash, I'm like, oh, there's 3 here. Well, the next thing you know, it's been 5 minutes and I've scrolled down way past the notifications and I'm scrolling. It's like, okay, get off, concentrate,
Mhm.
Yep. Oh yeah,
Oh.
the notification hell is real. And that's why when you do your disconnect, you got to get off the phones. You have, or
Mhm.
any devices with notification, turn them off. And
Yeah.
that's even, like I say in my article, is I understand we're all busy. We have jobs, we got responsibility. So you got to find that day that you can do it. Like, don't do it during a work day and like, oh, I'm taking a 24-hour challenge. I'm not going to respond to.
Oh, darn, we were going to ask you that. When we started
Well,
recording.
that's yeah. Well, and it's not. I don't think we can get away with doing it on a regular work day. If I just said, yeah, I'm not I'm working today, but I'm not working at all. So I don't think that would fly. But
But you know what? During the pandemic, I think it was Sony. They decided to go ahead and give, and I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to say like 1 Friday a month or 2 Fridays a month or something. That's their mental health day. And they're off and no emails and no whatever. You go do whatever you want to do. And maybe it's just once a month, but still it was, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're going crazy. Go have a day at the end of the week and be yours and just let people know you're out of the office that day. And I thought that was really great. And I don't think it's not a PTO day. It's not a holiday. It's a mental health during the week, during the month day.
Mhm.
So I thought that was brilliant. So any of my managers are listening right now. I would love to have a mental health day.
Yes.
I'd go get
Yes.
a massage and go have fun for myself. And yeah, I'd go do all sorts of things, but
Well, there's been studies that they're saying a 4-day week. Some of the countries have moved to that and
yeah.
they've had increased productivity.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that, but also, that's one thing. I heard this from a high up administrator the other day, and I think it spoke something to me, because I know I'm a creature of habit of it too, and especially now being in a leadership role, I gotta set that example for my employees. This high up administrator was saying, use your vacation days, use your PTO, because especially as a leader, if you're not taking PTO, even if you're telling your employees he's not, so I'm not, So we have to use our PTO. That's why it's there. Use it.
Mhm.
If you need a mental health day, if you need whatever, that's what those days are for.
Yeah, exactly. And then it has to be very, yeah, like James said, we have to be very clear and say, I am disconnecting. Like I will not. And I've seen, people have put that in their away, out of office, saying I will have limited access or no access
Yeah.
to emails. But you wonder how many times that's actually true. And I know I've broken that, like
Mhm.
where, I'm away on PTO, but it's like, oh, I need to respond to this. It's like I got to set them straight. And it's like, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that.
There's a line in a song by Tim McGraw. I'm trying to think what the name is of the song. The line is, "The graveyard's full of people who are too busy to die."
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Or it might be something along that line. It may not be word for word, but yeah, the premise is the graveyard's full of people who are too busy to die. And you don't want, when your time's up, your time's up. And we don't want to have those regrets that, hey, I didn't spend enough time with my friends and my family, or took enough time for myself. And that's really what that premise of the article is. Take time for yourself. You need it. We all need it.
Well, and I liked how you referenced 4th of July too, because we did go out to some friends that live on a lake, and I floated in the water until I was pruned up. Didn't have my phone with me, just floated, conversated with people, got out, conversated with people, played bags, washers, and just had fun. And then it was time for fireworks and all that. And it was like, I think I had like 32 text message notifications, and it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to get caught up. And I was so stressed. And I thought, you know what? I'll do it tomorrow, and enjoy the fireworks, and enjoyed my friends, and enjoyed the time. And so, yeah, I mean, something peaceful about it. And that was
4th
not
of
24
July.
hours by any means, but it was enough to go so
Mhm.
nice, not have to worry about that for a while.
I will say, yeah, I kind of did. So I, not at 4th of July, but I had filled in at my wife's camp one day. They needed an extra counselor. So I was like, all right, I'll take the day. But the trade-off is as a counselor, you don't get to have your phone on you. So like you need to keep it
Oh.
away in your backpack, and don't look at it. So for the 8 hours I was on site, I didn't look at my phone at all. And I went back afterwards, and I had tons of notifications and all these emails that showed up. And I had like a moment of anxiety, like, oh my God, like I let this go but at the same time, to be present with those kids and to be there and, just
Yep.
be engaged with them for 8 hours was great. It was, not saying I'm going to leave to go, be a camp counselor, but it's something that was something I used to do when I was younger. I was a camp director, but
Yeah.
but it was refreshing to have that disconnect, even just for 8 hours of, not having to look at my phone.
That's, yeah, I think we all need to do better on that for sure. So it was a good article, especially for Mental Health Month, for sure.
Yep, and that's why I kept it short. And like I even said in the article, 4th of July, it's probably by far my favorite holiday. It's not the barbecues and the fireworks. It's just something about the 4th of July that's always resonates with me. And I have to admit, being here in Vegas was very cool in the spot where I was, because I actually sat on 4th of July. I sat on my patio with my wife and my kids for 2 hours, and no lie, basically there was 100 fireworks shows that I could watch.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, because you have people doing it personally. They were setting off personal fireworks, and then you have the casinos and the towns and all
yeah.
those. And I could, from my farthest left to my farthest right, we sat there for 2 hours just watching fireworks going on. And yes, I did post on Twitter, and I had Joe kind of comment, hey, get off and spend time with your family. But during the time I was on Twitter and social media, that's when my kids were inside, or, like, oh, I'm going to run inside and, talk to my friends. And that's when I picked up my phone. But when they were out there, my phone was down. I didn't have it on.
Yeah. Good. Well, and sometimes it takes something like that. Like I'm sure you missed the heck out of your family for 2 months, wishing, they were there. And so it puts it into perspective. And you probably, I think a lot of times we take stuff for granted like that, and you don't realize that, time is short and then something like that happens and you're like, oh, dang, man, I miss my kids. I miss my wife,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to them a little more.
Yeah, no, definitely. I have noticed since we got out here, we have been spending much more time together as a family when we're home. I mean, we have been busy doing things like my one daughter is doing soccer. My other one decided to take a little break from soccer. And then work, of course, is a long time for me, hours wise. And then when we have to go to the store and stuff and pick things up. But really, it's when I'm home, I'm home.
Yeah, that's good. That's
That's
good.
awesome. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's really awesome. So good
So, yeah.
article.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah. So again, you can find that at higheredav.com. Unless you're doing a 24-hour challenge, then don't go there.
Do it
yet.
tomorrow.
And also do it after the 24-hour challenge.
Yeah. As I say in my article, read my article. It's short. Do the 24 hours and then come back,
Read it.
reread my article, and check out all the other great content on the site.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, that's it's interesting because I don't know, this last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there's been a lot, at least personally for me, it's just been a lot going on and stuff like that. So, having the chance, like 4th of July, having that chance to unplug for even just a little bit was great. I went to the fireworks with my son and my wife. Unfortunately, she had to work. She was getting things ready. So we went down to go see the fireworks, and he loves the fireworks, like seeing that look on his face and everything like that. And then they started playing Ray Charles's version of America the Beautiful, oh beautiful for like that. And I instantly got transported to Sandlot, and that scene where they're playing baseball underneath the fireworks, because it was like the one time they could play at night. It was the one day a year they could play at night, and I thought that was like I was getting like all what's the word I'm looking for?
Zodric. I mean, what is that word?
I can't think of what the word is.
Yeah, I can't either.
Yeah. I know there's probably somebody listening to the podcast. They're telling me, and they're like yelling at their device. It's like, yes, I know. That's the word. It'll come to me later. Nostalgic. Like, I guess that's kind of like what I'm going. Like, it's like.
So what do you hear, James? So what do you think? Because the past couple of years we've been locked up with the pandemic and that, so we haven't been socializing. A lot of us have been stuck in our homes working and things. So with your article, was it something that, well, now we're back out doing trade shows, we're doing face-to-face meetings, that, you're saying, hey, let's just take some time away from technology for a day, or no?
No, I don't think that we're getting out of the pandemic had anything to do with the article. I actually just think it's what's going on in society as a whole. And like I mentioned, being away from my family for the 2.5 months, 2 months was a lot.
Well,
it was nice being with people. What?
Self-reflection.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of self-reflection. Like, I mean, you sit there like, what, on the 4th of July, there was 2 shootings, one Philly and one over in
Illinois.
And that's like, why is this stuff happening? And this being connecting, like, this is time that people should be outside having fun, enjoying the weather, enjoying friends, family, environment. And you got people who are going through things, who feel that they need to use that kind of action as their outlet. And that's unfortunately what's wrong with our society now, that we feel that's an outlet that we have.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Well, it is, because like James said, he's sitting there watching the fireworks and that, you just have innocent people that are going to an event to, celebrate a holiday with everybody. And unfortunately, you begin to rethink, you know what? Is it safe for me to actually go and see a parade or go to the
That's-
I
movie?
mean, even here in Vegas, during that Fremont Street, I think it was 2 weeks ago, there was a fatal shooting on Fremont Street. And then, like I said, during the weekend of the 4th of July, there was another shooting. Now, it wasn't fatal, but it wasn't
Still.
mass. It was just someone that, funny enough, I hate saying it's funny, but the guy got shot in his butt cheek. But yeah, it's like, why is this stuff happening? Like,
Well, and how sad
Right.
that my stepdaughter or my bonus daughter, she after the Uvalde shooting, she went out and ordered her kids, my grandkids, the bulletproof thingy majiggy that goes inside your backpack so that
Yep.
so that they can have something to kind of shield themselves should they be in that situation. I'm like, this is what my
Wow.
9-year-old grandson and my 4-year-old grandson is going to learn, that's what it's just, I don't
It-
know.
I mean, yes, is that sad? I agree. But you also got to think back in, like, our parents say what they have the air raid drills, and then like my era, we had a lot of situations that we had to be mindful and do drills and practice for. It's sad that, yes, mass shootings is something that our kids need to worry about, but it's grim as people feel it is, grim as people make it out to be, because yeah, they want to put these children as innocent, but like I said, every generation has some kind of event that they're preparing for. Like I said, you had the air raid during the Cold Wars, you had other things that people
Other stuff.
hid under their desk and did, and it was just the way of life. And not saying it's great, but unfortunately it's the way of life that what we deal with. And I think that's what, as a society, and this is a global society, is what we're getting away from. Is a lot of these things happen and they were military done. Like, you attacked one country, attacked a military situation. Yes, you might have your casualties of what they could call war, but now you have people, it's not even military, it's guerrilla warfare almost, and not even warfare really. And it's definitely crazy out there. And it's sad, and it's just a reality we deal with, and hopefully we can get this taken care of.
Well, I can talk as an outsider who grew up in a different country that we didn't deal with any of this. No drills, no nothing. Fire drills, that was it. The school catches on fire. So, from my perspective, can I swear on the show? I'm not sure. It's a real S show. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Many conversations with people back home, and it's just every day shaking your head going, what is happening? Because there are countries where we never had that. There's strict gun laws. If you had a gun, you were going to use it at a firing range, you had to phone the police, tell them exactly your coordinates, the way that you were going, when you were done, then you had to phone them and tell them how you were getting back home. Like that's how strict. I know some of it's changed now because gangs have come in from, actually, I think I'm not sure if it's from the US side, or I think it's Hong Kong, et cetera, that have somehow, brought guns in. But, just from an outsider, my mind's blown. It really is.
It is. And I'm not pro gun, but I hear that argument all the time. Let's even take the whole gun situation out. Let's take back this last global pandemic we just had of COVID, and you look at the United States, and we did not fare well during COVID compared to other countries. But look, our government tried to say, hey, we should go in a lockdown. We should do this. And us citizens go, no, we're not. And we didn't follow. Where, you look at China, when the government says you lock down, you lock down. Like if you were outside your house, you disappeared.
Yeah.
I know I
Listen.
was listening to one podcast where they were talking about it, and it was a global company, and they were saying how their employees in India, when they went in the lockdown, again, they thought it would be a couple months. And when they turned out that it was going to be longer, they decided to do the work from home. Well, the employees couldn't leave their homes. They couldn't even step outside their doors. They had to send the Indian National Guard to their offices, grab their equipment, and deliver it to the people. Like you
Didn't know
couldn't do
that.
that here in the United States.
Yeah.
And that's the way our society is built. Like people will sit there and go, we're crazy. But you guys think about it, like India, let's take for example, is you're ruled by India law. United States, we have 51 different legal systems. Each state has their own legal system, plus then we have the federal. So there's 51 different legal systems in the United States.
Yeah. And that's proven as lately with Roe v. Wade being overturned, and then now the latest is talking about the minimum wage again. That's starting to come back up because now that July 1 is hit, a lot of companies have, or states have enacted certain levels of hourly rate for that.
Yeah.
The federal minimum wage is still $7.25 or whatever it is.
So my argument there, and that's again just shows you how our society mentality is minimum wage was never designed to live off of. Minimum wage jobs were designed for young people who were entering the work field to get their feet in the door, learn and how to properly work in an environment, and then go on to a better paying job,
Right.
plus to supplement retirement for people who are retired. But unfortunately, I won't go into all the reasons, there's many variables. People are making these minimum wage jobs careers, and they never were designed to be a career, and now they're trying to live off them. And you have single parents who are trying to raise a family, or even dual parents who are trying to raise families or do their living off a minimum wage job, and they're not designed for it. And
Right.
and
But
we
we've
need to
lost
get back
that.
to what they were designed for.
Right. We've lost that
Yeah.
over the years. And I think that's part of the sense of entitlement that a lot of people are starting to have, that, we all, I mean, I made $3.20 when I think the minimum wage was $3.35 at my first job. I knew I wasn't going to be in that position forever, right? That was where I got some experience. I was going to school, then you go to the next one and go to college. I mean, and it was a progression, and you're right. Now it's this is what I do, and I deserve to make as much as you. But companies did it. I mean, look at some of these warehouse jobs that Amazon put in, or at least around here, $18-20 an hour. And
Yep.
they're, entry level warehouse jobs, which is great
That's
for them. But now look at Amazon is looking at downsizing their staff.
mhm.
And that's the same.
So-
Growing it so much. But why are we having so many
So-
retail issues? Because everybody's at the warehouse making $18 an hour,
So here's the other thing is that from a small business perspective, because I have a friend of mine who owns a small carpet cleaning business, and he had to raise his hourly rate in order to maintain,
Absolutely.
because like you've got McDonald's, Fridays, like you could get a job, do you want fries with that? Or, being the hostess or host and being able to just sit people for $15 an hour. So
Yeah.
why go work and clean carpets and actually do something manual labor when I could sit and do these sort of things? So, he had to increase his hourly rate.
But I don't know how you get and like James said, we've lost sight of that, of what it was created for.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, how do you go back? to
can't
that?
go back.
You
No.
can't go
Yeah, we
back. You
can't.
can't go, okay, we're going back. Now you're gonna make $8 instead of the 12 or the 15.
No, what we got to do is we got to, as a society, do a better job at showing the younger generation the progression. And
Mhm.
I think that was a loss. You had the, I don't even know, I want to say the baby boomer generation, but you had these generations who put in the work. They started in the bottom, they worked their way up. They were making, maybe 100K by the time their kids were looking at high school. And so when their kids went to college, they're like, well, I have heard this from many college students. They're like, well, I'm not taking a job unless I'm making 100K.
Oh
Well,
my-
you're not starting out as 100K.
Mm-mm.
And they don't understand that. They don't understand the years and the work that people are putting in to get to that 100K
Right.
a year.
And the other part of it is that that age group is also the ones that are staying home now too. Like they don't move out on their own.
Yeah,
They
they're
stay
not
home with their
leaving.
parents. Right. They're staying longer, but yet they want to make more money. It's like,
Yep.
But this is the time that you can make less money because you have less bills. So, if you're gonna do it.
We baby our generations. We shielded them from the hard work, and people now don't want to put the hard work in. They don't want to put the
Mhm.
years. They don't want to put the mileage in to build on to learning and their craft. They just want to jump right in at high level and thinking they can do it without building their base to their pyramid. It's almost like building a house on sand.
Mm.
And once the base is not there, you don't have a strong base, it's crumbling. And that's what we're dealing with right now. We're crumbling because we did not build our base solid. We're building it cast on sand.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
very well put, James. That's exactly it.
So for those of you who still have little kids, do your part to help make sure you're doing the progression things. And I
Mhm.
think that's another thing too, is going back to what we originally talking about, is making your kiddos have a 24-hour, hey, today's Saturday, we're going to do movies, park or whatever, and make
Mhm.
them disconnect, because now, I mean, you see 10-year-olds with cell phones and I mean, that I'm not saying
I'm guilty of it. I have 3 kids, and each one of them have their own iPad. I mean, I am definitely guilty of it.
well, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, except for the fact that, we were talking about that movie, the social
Yeah,
social
dilemma. Yeah.
and I think of some of, the stories you've heard of these kids where they were picked on social media or they were this, and it's like,
Yep.
if you had a chance to maybe, disconnect them every so often and let them know this is something you got to do. And,
Yeah.
So
And there's nothing wrong with them having the device. 'Cause
Yeah,
my son has an iPad as well. He's not getting a cell phone, not yet. I mean, he's 7, so no
Yeah.
cell phone.
yeah, please.
But yeah.
Middle
Uh,
school, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
middle school, yeah.
But
yeah, because like it's different when he gets to the point where he's gonna like start walking to school on his own or like with his friends
Yeah.
or something like that. Then yes, he needs a way of contacting us.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, I get that. But yeah, it's time management with them at that age. And and luckily, my son is also very good about, hey daddy, can I go play in the playroom? Yes, please go.
Yes.
Go play with your toys. Like you have tons of them, go do it.
Well,
So
yeah.
it's still, and then, but the thing I have to explain to him is that the best way I could equate and get him ready for that that next step of like learning and growing and progressing is right now with sports, and that's the way he gets it. Because right now, like he's been playing soccer since he's basically been able to walk,
Yeah.
so he loves playing soccer because he's good at it. And he tells me like, with baseball, is like he likes baseball, but he doesn't like it as much as soccer because he's like, he's like, I'm not as good at baseball. I'm like, well, yeah, because you've only been playing baseball for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like, baseball is one of those sports that it takes time to hone your
Yeah.
craft and to get better. and then you could still, it may stink sometimes, but yeah, it's going to get better as you go along. So that's how he understands it. So we're trying to instill that into him. So
Well, and you know that same thing, like both my boys were put in baseball, but you know, Tim, the reason why they got turned off is because you're just left standing out there. So when they're younger, you know, it's not as active. And so they're like looking at the sky, you know, kicking the dirt. And so they just absolutely had no interest in that. Whereas I think probably with soccer, you know, there's a little bit more running around and.
right. Yeah, there is
So-
that part too. Yeah.
Yeah.
To
But
go into that a little more, first I want to touch on that, but I want to put it out there to everyone first, is especially parents, and go, and this is not AV related at all. Go listen to
That's
the
okay. It's
United.
the life portion of the AV
Yeah.
life.
And AV
Go
life.
listen to the United Coaches Soccer podcast, where they talk to the parents of Katie Myers. For those who don't know, Katie Myers was a goalkeeper for Stanford University. So he was like an All-American. I could be getting some information wrong. All-American. They just won their conference in college. You know, she should have been at the highest of her peak. She committed suicide.
oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And listening to the parents, and there was no red flags. The parents said, like, they talked to her that day before, and there was no, like, she was making plans where, like, a lot of times they talk about people who are thinking about it or not, like they're canceling plans. Well, she was making plans. She was buying plane tickets, and they were saying that our human brain is not fully developed until we're in the age of 22. But we're putting these younger kids, you know, 17-year-old, 18-year-olds, 18, you're considered an adult, and they're trying to handle life, but their brains are not fully developed to handle it. Yeah. And so, and they said they had open communication with their daughter. They thought they had a great relationship with their daughter and they knew everything, but it turned out they didn't. And that podcast, that episode, I'm telling you, you need to go listen to that, because that really shows you where you need. And that kind of also led to my article about that disconnecting from technology and connecting with my family, because it, like I said, very powerful one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then talking about the youth soccer, like Nancy said, so youth soccer, yes, they have developed not only to be fast paced for kids, but just because, you know, they want to keep kids interested in it, but they're actually doing it developmentally. Is US youth soccer has, and when I first looked at it, I didn't like it because it wasn't what I grew up on. But then when I dove into it, why the reason, it made sense. When I grew up playing soccer, I'm sure you guys as well, if you played soccer, you went right, no matter what age you were 11v11, 11 kids on the field playing against 11 kids on the field. Now they start with like 5-year-old, 5 and 6-year-old, it's 4-on-4, no goalkeepers. And then when you go up to the next age group, it's 7v7 with the goalies, but the goalies could not punt the ball. And then when you go up in an age group, it's 9v9. And then not until U13 is it. And the reason why they went with the 4v4 is more touches on the ball, like, and build your skill, because soccer especially requires a lot of touching the ball. And when you're playing an 11v11, you might have a very strong kid, especially a youth kid, who can dribble up and down the field and never pass the ball. And then you have 10 other kids who are sitting there not touching the ball. But on a 4v4 smaller field, there's more touches going on. So that's why the kids are a little more into soccer, because they're more active. Yes, they're not sitting on the bench. Where in baseball, unfortunately, the way the sport is designed, there's a lot of sitting around. You know, you hit off the tee, you run bases, you're on base. Same thing with football. Everything is stop, go, stop, go. As you do plays, where soccer, the only one that there is no timeout. You cannot stop the clock. The clock never stops.
Mhm.
The only thing they do in soccer is they add time. And they don't even add full time. Like, it could be a minute when it really it was like 3 minutes wasted. But they'll add time, and that's up to the ref to add the time.
Mhm.
So, yes, it's always going. The clock never stops. It's full of action.
And at the end of the day, if your kiddo is out playing a sport, they're not on their phone. They're not in
Yep.
trouble, right?
Yep.
I mean, I remember my family saying, you're going to pick something to do. If you don't want to do soccer this time, then you're doing softball or you're doing track, because you're going to keep yourself busy. You're not going to come, and we didn't have phones back then, but you're going to keep yourself busy because then it keeps you out of trouble, right?
Well, that, and it provides the social aspect as well.
Yeah,
And that,
and yeah,
right. And that was, let me tell you, that was a godsend at the beginning of the pandemic. Like, soccer saved that kindergarten class, that kindergarten class of 2020, 2021.
that was their social outlet.
That was their social outlet. So whenever the practice and then game day, like, they were all in, and they were all from my son's school. So that helped too, because these are the kids, they were seeing each other just like we are on like a Zoom call right now. And so they knew each other, but then they got to physically socialize with everybody. And that was huge, to the point now where teachers are noticing that there's something special about this class across the board. They're all noticing like that, that class specifically, like the kindergarten first graders during the pandemic, there's something special about them. Like, they've got the technology, they've got the social, but they yearn for that social.
Yeah.
Like, they want it, and they want to continue with it. And they're utilizing all the tools at 7 years old.
Yeah.
As Joe Way said, we are social creatures.
Mm-hmm.
We as humans, there's reasons why we are social creatures. One is protection. That pack mentality is, an animal in a pack is more protected than stand alone, and that's why we crave interaction. We need that nature connection and build off that protection. That we also are very. I hate using this word, but self-preserve. You want people saying you did something good. And that's why social media is so bad, is you're comparing yourself to everyone else. Where in the back, you might have, like I might be that close circle with Tim, because we're both in New Jersey. And we what's that word I'm looking for? Reevaluate each other. But we now not comparing ourselves to, USC or Joe or Renee over in Kansas or Nancy. Like, you don't see all that. And again, we're on social media. We're only sharing the good things. You're not always posting, oh, I had a bad day today. You're posting, hey, I won the lottery today. And you're like, why the hell didn't I win the lottery?
Today sucked. Here's my post.
Yeah.
I think I think to wrap it kind of all up, I think it's the parents need to be present. The parents need to put some rules on it at a young age. And we didn't grow up with that. So we have to kind of do that to ourselves, right? We have to kind of and I think that's why this article is great for Mental Health Awareness Month. And I'm going to try to do that. I'm trying to think of a day I can do that. It'll have to be on a weekend because I work all day, but you think about it, it's like our friends get together, we all do it via text on a group text, or we all do everything on. So it's going to be one of those things where make the plans Friday, because on Saturday I'm cutting off everything. But I really appreciate the article, and I'm going to really try to do it, James. I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to report back to you.
And
just don't pick a Thursday.
Yeah, don't pick a Thursday. Don't pick a Monday when these are released. But really, like Renee, what you're talking about is okay, you want to still be able to be reachable, in case your family has emergency.
Yeah.
Log off your social media, turn off notifications, silence those, where you only get the message text and your phone calls. So if there is something important that you need to attend, you attend it. Turn off your email, like log off that and all that stuff. Oh, I actually got to go because I only got 20 minutes left on my 20% left on my battery.
Well, we're going to just start to wrap up anyhow. So James, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for your input.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Again, how things go.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Take care.
Take care. See you guys.
So, as we were wrapping up there, go ahead, Nancy.
I was trying to, but James was talking and yourself, that's a hard one because if you don't have younger kids, I have an 18 and in a week, a 21-year-old. And even on the cruise, I had to keep saying to Alex, put your phone away, because he was just obsessed with what he was doing. And there was like a constant game that he's been playing. So it's a little bit harder when you say, put your phones away, because they're saying, I'm an adult now. And, I've got this and this and this going on.
Yeah.
So I think, and when it comes to time, like you said, maybe dinner and that, maybe there's got to be some type of rule where, okay, let's all put our phones off to the side, not on the table, not even near the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just,
I had seen
we
it.
all need to do. It's just a discipline for all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, us as parents, us as each other. I just think it's a really good reminder.
Yeah.
For all of
And
us.
that's, I saw it, and real quick, I saw a video kind of to that piece saying that, like leaving the phone on the desk is one thing, but then actually putting it away and putting it down, like actually putting it like in your pocket or something like that and putting it away is a bigger visual for somebody. So because you just putting it on the desk, the phone is still visible and it's still there. But if you're silencing it and putting it away in your pocket, you're showing them that you're opening yourself up to whatever conversation is about to happen. So yeah, I think that's a great idea that, if you're going to have family dinner, phones go away, not just on the table, they go away, silence it. Cause the other part is, you get your notifications on the watch now. So,
but then how will I count my steps and track my sleep? How will I do any of that?
No, but you'll still do that. You could just silence just need to silence the, Oh, believe me,
you just nailed one of the scenes from Social Dilemma. So if you haven't seen it, you really do need to go see it, where the mom.
Netflix or what? What's it on?
I'll find. I mean, I watched it when it first came out. I think it might have been Netflix. It might have been.
It's probably on Netflix. Yeah.
When Erica was with us and told us to watch it, and I watched it, I was like, oh,
I'll watch it. I'll look it up. We've got a whole bunch of streaming.
So there you go.
Things,
so
all right, we got to go.
All right, so go watch The Social Dilemma. Thank you, Nancy and Renee, as always. This was great. We definitely have this conversation took a bigger turn than I was expecting for tonight. So this is great. No, it was a great conversation. This is AV Life. This is what a small thought goes a long way. So that just shows the power of our crew here. So thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you to my crew as always. And until our next adventure.